approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. There are no appearances. Unless, Ryan, you're not making an appearance, are you? There is no unfinished business. Next is item 6A, consideration of resolution 17-8-2202, approval of bid for 2017 Bridge Road Park improvements. Park Director Anderson. Oh, first of all, I guess we do need a motion, right?
Sure, I'll move approval. Second.
Okay. Jake?
Good evening. This project is a two-parter for Bridge Road Park. So we had public input through the Park and Rec Board process. Public process changed the scope of the site a little bit. Knew that the project, at least estimated, would be a little more than what we had budgeted. Decided to send it out for bid, see where we're at. Came back with this particular resolution is for the site work portion of it, and we received one bid back from Homburg Contractors. So we are looking at getting a recommendation from the Park and Recreation Board, which meets tomorrow night, and then the next meeting would have the site work and the playground selection and potential capital budget amendment to it. So it's a little bit of a two-parter, so to speak, but I can speak to at least what's in your handout right now. So the original budget for the project was $130,000. With the input from the public and the park board, we wanted to extend the path from the original playground all the way to Midland Lane. Adding a zip line element kind of increased the footprint of the entire playground area, which has kind of resulted in the cost drive up. One bidder on the site work doesn't help, although it wasn't that far out of the realm of what our probable cost estimate is. And so we have a couple different options. The one that we have at least recommended for me is transferring money from an existing project to cover the overage of a tennis court crack filling project that we're not doing at Ahuska Park for this year. So we will get a full recommendation from Park and Rec Board after tomorrow, but those are just some of the issues behind this. So we did receive the playground bids in Thursday, and that number in your fiscal note kind of notates the lower of the two bids that we received for the equipment.
So is it the equipment that is increasing the cost?
It's a little bit of both. It's part equipment and it's part site work. So I think our final OPC was around 150 for everything, and we're pushing 170, for everything. So on an original OPC, after kind of a redesign of it, that's not out of that realm, but there's not one playground element that really makes that much of a difference as far as taking it out isn't going to get you $40,000 unless it's the main play structure itself. So there is an option of totally going back and redesigning it to try to meet that budget amount. Mm-hmm. We would be looking at then, a change order with our consultant and probably no better pricing anyway, because then you're looking at a January, bid, most likely not being able to get that equipment in this year.
Jake, and you said that the path, you added more pathway, correct?
Correct.
How many feet was that again?
I don't have that total in front of me. I'd have to look it up, but half the park.
Mm-hmm.
So is part of the increase in the site work construction due to that, or is that the installation surfacing? Or is that for the play?
It's a little bit of both. Looking at the site work bid, when you increase the total size of a playground area, that's more cubic yards that have to be excavated out, and a path system that's a 8-foot wide path requires about a 10-foot wide kind of cut of the the turf and the grass. So it's bringing in diggers is expensive.
Does anyone else have any questions? Brian?
Jake, in the original estimate, there was the 7% contingency added. And if I did my math correct, it looks like there's no contingency built in for any overage within what's laid out here.
Yeah, so if we receive the budget amendment, the contract would be a not to exceed, that dollar amount that was bid on. It's a fairly straightforward project within the park itself, as far as what the site work contractor would be doing with the, excavation of the playground area, the paths, and then the water line. And the equipment itself would all be, the pre-purchase. So the variables on this one are, once the project starts, are pretty insignificant.
And I bring that up because the site work construction bid is, with the contingency, is about 12,000 over, but with the change in order just for the addition of the paved walking path, which we've learned, do it paved, yes. Right? Like we know some of our unpaved becomes a nightmare when it comes to maintenance.
Correct.
So the extra $12,000 for that paved area makes perfect sense. So.
Yeah.
And we've had some conversations, for example, at Legacy Health, talking about transportation, making things more accessible, and is this a value that we want to look at going forward? Is our parks should be as accessible as we can make them be, and this makes it more accessible. But we think that's something that is part of that effort. Perhaps we should take a look at too when we're citing park projects in the future.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Alderwood?
So park board they're gonna look at the design elements at their next meeting?
They're gonna,
So
I will open it up to them what their recommendation to the council would be. So there's several options. If the directive is to not utilize any additional funds for the project, then we'll go back to kind of the drawing board with park board and the consultant, and then be looking at a 2018 project at a much smaller scale as far as the playground equipment would go. If it's a recommendation to utilize other program funds that aren't being utilized this year, aka the $65,000 Ahuska Park Tennis Court project, then that recommendation would come back to accept both bids that we received and move forward with the project with a capital budget amendment. But the challenge with trying to reduce and still get everything is just not there, because it's the size of we could take out the zip line, for example. That's a $7,000 line item. If we would want to put it in at a future date, we're still paying the full cost of that use area. So the playground elements itself, I'd say 7,000 plus installation. The installation cost plus the surfacing is about 28,000. So you have the playground equipment cost, and then you have the engineered wood fiber surfacing and installation of the equipment.
Okay. And so, are you asking finance to approve both these tonight, and then the council is just for a first read tonight, correct?
You guys would just be the site work contract tonight, and then next meeting would be second read of the site work contract and first and only read of the playground equipment approval.
So we wouldn't necessarily be approving the site work contract tonight?
I don't see
What you're
why
saying.
you would have to
Okay.
know, because it's going to be first read at council,
Okay.
and then we just do the second read would have the recommendation from park board.
Are you done, Alderwood? I've just got a couple
I had
questions.
one other
Okay.
thing I wanted, more of a comment, I guess, on just the layout of the sidewalk coming from Midland up entering the backside of the playground area.
Yeah,
That doesn't exist right now, does it?
correct. It does not exist.
So, I know it's in a park, and I'm looking at it.
Oh, okay.
people in general like to walk. They'll take the shortest route. So that'd be one thought that park board discussed, is whether to just bring that, instead of looping it around in sort of a U shape, to bring it more or less straight in from the end of Midland to the playground, which might save a small amount of money, but
the rationale for that is it does serve as a border for a length of the playground on one side, and then it does create an ADA accessible connection to the basketball court, and then the ping pong area as well on the, I guess, south side of that area. We're a little, I don't want to say tight, but we're within probably 10 feet of that fence line that's there now. So we're on the southwest corner where you kind of see the dotted line kind of enter a box area. That's the start of the basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of whole plate, there's not a lot of wiggle room there where we have it sited in.
I was referring to coming in from Midland.
Oh,
so
so Midland, instead of doing a curb cut on the from the roundabout there, it was decided that it would just be easier to come up where the new asphalt parking lot's going to be for the well building, and then just come off of that itself.
Okay.
And leave some open space for field activities, aka soccer, flag football. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
I have two questions. You've been doing some fundraising for this, haven't you? Have
Correct.
you raised? I think your beer sales have been going to.
Yeah.
Have you raised any kind of money that can offset some?
We've
of this,
got about $11,000 right now that would pay for one extra piece of equipment that wasn't included in any of this. So there's several play elements that are kind of for different age categories. So we have the main play structure is for ages 2 to 12. The zip line, which would be a first in Monona, is a 5 to 12, but really much older kids can use and have fun on it. The one that we've been fundraising for, at least what would like to allocate, is called a Supernova, which is a kind of a slanted donut merry-go-round that can really appease to high schoolers, teenagers. And then we have our standard swing set and small spring riders.
So the money you've been raising is going to yet an additional element. It's not
correct
to defray any of these.
Correct.
Okay, I didn't realize that. The other thing is,
and the ping pong table.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the concrete ping pong table were the two that we'd be fundraising for.
Do you envision coming back next year with a much bigger request for a Huska for the tennis court?
No. So based on Riverfront, Phase 1, I'll be recommending to Park Board that we push a Huska back to 2020, which would then include
the tennis court.
Tennis court would be next year for just maintenance renovation on the tennis court only, and then pull the rest of the improvements back and do them all in one crack in 2020.
So would that be the same type of work you were planning on for this year with the $65,000, or would it be a lot less than that?
Well, the courts is going to be like $150,000 most likely. So we had $500,000 in for next year at a Huska. That would be part tennis court, part parking lot expansion, as a phase 1 of kind of an updated master plan for that park. Based on shifting priorities with the Riverfront, we're recommending we just do the tennis court repairs next year to Huska and push the rest of the improvements, including playground equipment, to 2020. So
but we would need an additional $40,000 or whatever to add to the 25 you'll have left if we transfer those tennis court money this year, right?
Yeah, well, probably like 100. Yeah,
just to patch.
Well, there's no more patching at a Huska.
Okay, so the only thing you can do is redo. I thought you said you were going to try to do some maintenance on it for next year. What I'm trying to find out is how much would that be? Do you have any idea?
Tennis court maintenance is going to be close to $150,000 because those 5 courts that are so badly cracked that they can no longer be patched up, effectively. So that's just like what we did at the Winnequa tennis courts.
Okay.
Take all the bad stuff out and redo the base and go down.
All right. Any other questions? So what do you think we should do? We do have a motion to approve this, but should we wait till and see this again next time after Park Board gets a chance to look at it?
Yeah, I think so. So I'll move to table this item and the next one if I can.
That's fine.
Second?
Second.
Brian, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
I assume we don't really need to talk about the next one, or, because it's basically approving the transfer of the money? Yeah.
Yeah.
Joan, do we need to do anything special to not talk about the next item?
No, Doug's, Alder Wood's motion was to table this and the next item.
So that's enough.
So I think we're good.
All right. Okay, thank you.
I can be up here for bills if you want. I'm sure Mark will.
Probably most of them are yours.
Yeah.
Don't steal Mark's thunder.
All right, next item is item 7, acceptance of general fund accounts payable, checks dated July 14th to August 3rd. 2017 documentation of invoices paid is available in the city clerk's office. Is there a motion
Move
to
approval.
pay the bills? Is there a second?
I have some stuff. If anybody has anything, just kind of jump in there.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of go. Page 3 of the Invoice Register, Ayers Associates. They are working on, I'm doing a lot of engineering for us right now. The pool and the community center, they're working on the sidewalk and the chemical room engineering. Chemical room will happen next year in the budget. We propose to happen next year. Underneath that, bank card services. These are just everybody's credit cards they use to pay for their purchases. Page 4, the next page, Boltronics. One I'm going to hit is there's Fireman's Park security video is installed now. The camera above the installation, that's for the fire department's part of their vehicles. That was all approved through the capital budget.
Mark, before we move on, the Boltronics, this was just the hardware, not, was there an upgrade to the ability to capture and monitor the number of cameras now we have around the city?
That part hasn't been updated yet. That's
Okay.
coming in the next year proposal. I'm just going to skip over to page 13. Cisco Baraboo, just hit on here is the concession for the pool. It's been so far pretty profitable with the pool. Underneath that, Tri-County paving at the very bottom. Just working on some streets. That's approved through the capital street paving part of the capital. Page 19, generation title. We did purchase Bridge Loan. That happened that last week. Underneath that, Homburg Construction contractors. The 2017 street project. It's starting to wind up here pretty soon. Page 23, Randall Spence. Just kind of want to hit on the. I know we've been hitting this, and we go over the financials, but the pool shower parts. Just another example. You know, the cost involved when we do repairs and fix stuff. You know, it's $1,000 just for the pool shower parts and fixing that up. Page 25. Village of McFarland, June building inspector. Only reason hitting this is we found out today that Wednesday is no longer will be here in our office, so the person will be at McFarland on Wednesday. So he'll be here Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday because of the workload, I guess, issue with McFarland. So we will not have somebody on Wednesday here. Page 28, Aerial Architect. They're working on the library entryway. In the 2017 capital budget, there was money put in there, and they're kind of designing that. And I think in the near future, they'll be coming back with approval, if maybe a budget amendment for that project. Page 31, Land Tech, just, our IT services. That's just a monthly cost for June. That's all I have. I don't know if there's other questions.
Brian?
Mark, there was, up on page whatever, but you'll know, there was a charge for art installation, and just curious, was that connected to the mural, or is that a different?
I think that might be the library, isn't
You
it?
know the vendor name?
I can find it in just a second.
You have to go for art
It's
installation.
Megan Blake Horse. Who's the vendor?
I
Is it
think
her?
Mary had it. Megan Blake Horst. It's on page 27 or 16 of the report.
Page 16.
Yep.
I'm not for sure exactly where it was put in. I can look into it, but it's paid out of donation funds.
Oh, that's the library has a gallery, and she is paid to keep that gallery rotating, yes.
Okay, it must be paid by the donations.
Any other questions?
That's all I have.
All in favor of approving the bills, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bills are approved. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move adjournment.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are adjourned.